Hello, Gene Schwimmer here. Welcome to today's vlog. Before we get to today's subject, which is going to be an international overseas subject, I need to give you a little update on the United States, specifically Maricopa County, Arizona, the ballot audit that is going on there. There's been some concern from some people, including myself, until I saw the video that you're about to see. It's an interview with Wendy Rogers, who is a member of the Arizona Senate. The concern was that the Arizona Senate is a part-time Senate. They do not meet all year. They are scheduled to adjourn soon and not meet again until next year. The concern was that if they adjourn now or in the very near future, they can't act on what might have been found in the audit, the ballot audit. If they discover something important requiring legislation or some other action, the Senate won't be around to take any action until the next year. That was the concern, but it turns out not to be a real concern.
This is Jordan Conradson with the Gateway Pundit. I'm here with Arizona State Senator Wendy Rogers at the Arizona audit. There's two states here observing again. Which states are those again?
South Carolina and Michigan.
Wow, that is awesome. So they're looking to take that back to their home states, reform their elections.
Right.
So there's a lot of concern about sine die and the audit results coming out and the Senate not being able to make legislation based on those results. Can you kind of clear up the confusion?
Yes, Senate President Karen Fann, my colleague, put out a statement last night which clarifies the fact that even with sine die, which is Latin basically for adjourning our legislature, which is a part-time legislature, we still will be able to hold hearings and investigate, even in the off-season, as it were, with the Senate Judiciary Committee, of which I'm the vice chair. And also, it's important to understand that when the legislature adjourns, then 90-day clock starts, and then these bills that we have gotten through, that we have gotten signed for the restoration of election integrity can take effect. So we want that to be able to go into effect.
That's great. So can you tell us about the legislation such as SB 1485 to clean up our early voting list, the bill to block early ballots from being counted if they don't have a signature, and the bill which ensures early ballots go to current addresses?
Right, well, the first bill you mentioned is critical, and we want this to go into effect, which is basically you have to have voted one time in the last 4 elections to remain on the voter rolls. And as we are learning with the audit, the voter rolls are critical. And so we want to be able to get them as cleaned up as possible. And it requires legislation to do this. And so these kinds of bills have to be codified into law, and that can only happen after adjournment. And again, rest assured, everyone, that the Senate Judiciary Committee is a standing committee, and we are able during the off-season to pursue anything that is found at the audit.
All right. And then lastly, can you tell us about the important legislation regarding critical race theory, gun rights,
Sure.
etc.?
So last night, my colleagues and I were on the floor till 2:30 in the morning passing various components of our budget. One of which is the prohibition against teaching critical race theory. Another one was a big, huge tax cut for voters here in the state of Arizona. Also, we're very proud of the fact that there's a prohibition now that will be against the vaccine passport with universities and government agencies. So those are just a few of the things that we're really proud of here in Arizona, and we're going to be doing more.
And that's it for that subject. I just wanted to share that with everybody, get you all up to date on that. And now on to the main subject for today. But before we do, a little tough love from your vlogger who loves you, who loves all of you. whether you agree with me or not. Oh, and full disclosure, I'm a conservative. Always keep that in mind when you evaluate whatever I say. Now, getting to today's subject, the tough love that precedes my discussion of that subject, I've noticed a certain pattern, which is that whenever I vlog about these ballot audits, I get I get a lot of views. I get a lot more views than I do for any other subject. I get substantially fewer views on other domestic subjects and substantially fewer views when I vlog on an international subject. So I just want to apply a little tough love that there's more going on in the world than these ballot audits, and I share them because I think they're important, or they are at least of interest to me, maybe not to you, but I think they're worth listening to. If you're tuning in for some subjects, you should tune in for all of them. I mean, that's the whole point of subscribing, I would imagine, to know when I post a new vlog, which usually, with rare exceptions, is Monday through Friday. So, well, that's a tough love for today. That I'm talking about the Middle East today, Iran, Israel. Iran is a direct threat to the United States. They're more of a threat to Israel because they're so close, but we're on their hit list too. I almost said another word that sounds like hit. It's got another letter in front of it, but I try to avoid the 4-letter words. So we'll just go with the 3-letter word hit list. We're on Iran's hit list as much as Israel is. So it's important to us. And I've spoken in the past. I assume a lot of you feel the same way. This JCPOA, this Iran nuke deal that the Biden administration is working so hard to reestablish because, well, number one, it's their worldview, but number two, because it is the opposite of something that Donald Trump does. And anything that Trump does, Exhibit A, the border, Trump solved that problem. Now we have it again because Biden came in and just in the first few days just reversed without thinking, without looking into anything, just reversed everything Trump did, and now they're stuck. And the problem that they have is the only way to solve that problem, and another big problem they're having, crime in the cities problem, is to adopt conservative policies, if I may be so bold, Trump policies. They have to find a way of doing that without admitting that Trump was right. Kamala Harris is finally going to the border. I'm sure you know by now, the Texas-Mexico border. And why? Because Trump announced that he's going there in a few days, so she's going to go there 5 days before he does. He said it right out front, and he's right, that if Trump weren't going, Harris wouldn't be going, and she's going to El Paso. The problem with El Paso, I hope the governor will invite her. Well, she should meet with the governor. If she's not going to meet with Governor Abbott, it just means this whole visit is bogus. It's just going to be a photo op. And never mind Abbott, there are also Democratic mayors along this border who are screaming for the administration to do something. And you also have Henry Cuellar. He is a Democratic congressman, and he is screaming too. So she's going, but she's going to El Paso, which is pretty much as far north as you can go along the Texas border. But the problem is in the south. She's not going where the problem is. She should meet with obviously with the governor. I would think that would be obvious, and with border officers, and tour the actual problem areas. I hope, because the GOP, sometimes they're the stupid party, but I hope that Governor Abbott and other Republicans and these border officials will urge her, invite her to come look at the southern border where the problem is, and this should be a public invitation. And if she refuses, that'll show that it's just a photo op, and then the demand should be that she visit the border again, but the southern part where the problem is, to see what is actually happening there, and don't leave out these horrible child detention centers. So once again, as usual, I have veered off. So let me get back to Iran, because the thing with Iran reviving this deal, it's a big mistake. It's just an indication that, again, because Trump did the opposite, and also because of their worldview, which would be a whole other subject that I'm not going to cover today. I'm really trying to find a way to keep these vlogs a little bit shorter. But they are kowtowing to, well, Iran just announced that some sanctions are going to be lifted on their oil exports. This administration is, if somebody wanted to help Iran, I don't know what they would do differently from what the Biden administration is doing, just kowtowing to them, which means we have to rely on the Israelis, because Iran is an even bigger threat to the Israelis. So I want to share this story with you today. Let me give you a headline here, read you an excerpt. As always, I link to the full article if you want to read it. But yeah, and you may have already heard about this. Report: Iran nuclear site heavily damaged was on Israel's hit list. Again, that three-letter word, I could think of a four-letter word beginning with S, but let's keep it clean. I want this to be a family-friendly site. So, Israel remains mum as reports say the centrifuge manufacturing center targeted on Wednesday was heavily damaged, contrary to Iranian claims that the attack was foiled. Maybe you saw that story. They announced a drone attack on this facility. They say that they shot the drone down and no damage was done, but there are numerous reports that that is not the case. The report said that according to a senior intelligence official, I'm assuming that's an Israeli intelligence official because it's an Israeli news source from which I'm deriving this article, the Times of Israel, the name of the website and news source. The report said that according to a senior intelligence official, the Iran centrifuge technology company in Karaj, or it could be Karaj, one or the other, I'm not sure, was one of a number of targets Jerusalem had given to the Trump administration. The official said that other targets on the list included the Natanz uranium enrichment plant, which was heavily damaged. You probably read that story too. And the man who headed the country's secret nuclear weapons program, Mohsen Fakhrizadeh, who was assassinated last November. You probably read that story too. Citing an unnamed Iranian, quote, familiar with the attack, unquote, this week, the Times said a small drone, that's the Times of Israel, not the New York Times. The Times said a small drone was launched close to the facility and scored a hit, causing an unknown amount of damage. Contrary to Iranian government claims, various Hebrew media reported that the site had been significantly damaged. It has recently been standard procedure for Tehran to first shrug off attacks, either insisting they were accidents or minor accidents, and only admitting days later that they had suffered a significant setback to their nuclear program. The attack on the Karaj facility occurred just 5 days after Iran instituted an emergency closure of its only nuclear power plant. According to Israel's Channel 13, the Iranians initially tried to hide the shutdown, but Saudi media revealed the incident. Iran's Atomic Energy Organization then said in a statement that the nuclear reactor in Bushehr had been, quote, temporarily shut down due to a technical fault, unquote. It claimed that the plant would be reconnected to the country's electric grid and the issue, quote, resolved in a few days, unquote. The state electric company said on Sunday that the repair work would take until Friday. Iran's lack of explanation for the shutdown fueled speculation that this was another act of sabotage by Israel, which has repeatedly stated that it it would not allow the Islamic Republic to obtain nuclear weapons. And again, I link to the whole story. The point being that Joe Biden is bending over for Iran, so hot on reviving this horrible deal that we have to rely on the Israelis, and the Israelis are coming through. I, for one, can confidently predict that if these little accidents, these constantly recurring accidents that seem to be happening with increasing frequency, don't do the job of stopping Iran's march to a nuclear weapon, that the Israelis eventually will attack. I am sure, in fact, I've read that they already are making plans to do just that and rehearsing to be able to do that if they have to. But the main point is what I said in the title to this vlog. The Israelis are doing the job that we Americans will not do, at least as long as this horrible administration remains in power. As long as they're around, we have to rely on the Israelis to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon. And I hate to say this, but I really do believe that there are some Democrats on the far left who want Iran to have a bomb, a nuclear weapon, because they believe the United States is evil and they want Iran to have a counterbalance to us. That I hate to say it, but that's what I believe. What I don't hate to say, though, is, in fact, I love to say, I would really appreciate a thumbs up if you like this article. Share it with anybody you think would also like it, or this vlog. If you have any comments, comment section below the video where you can put questions, suggestions for future topics. You could subscribe. I love getting new subscribers. You can visit my other channels, my hot dog recipe channel, my original music channel, links in the description. Most of all, I appreciate, as I always do, the time that you spend with me. Thanks for stopping by again. I hope you all come back. I look forward to seeing all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.